Okay, this is a short video on what a joint commitment is. The concept plays a central role in my argument in the full presentation, so I want to make sure that anyone who isn't aware of this concept knows what it is and how it works and how I'll use it in my presentation. So I guess the first thing I'll say is this is a rough generalization of the core elements that are important for me and my argument. If you want to see some more detail, this concept comes up quite often in Margaret Gilbert's work, and so I'll refer you to this article, Belief and Acceptance as Features of Groups, for some more information. There's there's 2 or 3 pages of a nice summary of the view there. And then in her most recent book, Rights and Demands, has a fuller treatment about, so I'll refer you there for more detail. But for this project and this argument for today, let's look at an example. I guess the first thing to say is that joint commitments are not some rare, tool that philosophers use in obscure arguments or something like that. No, this is an everyday phenomenon that's ubiquitous and happens again and again wherever social interactions happen. So you can look at a fairly, straightforward example of what a joint commitment might look like or can look like. Let's imagine John asks Jones to go for a walk and Jones accepts. Okay, so what's happened here is there's been a joint commitment. What does that mean? Well, I'll quote here from the article I referred to at the start of this video, where we get the general form of a joint commitment, where we can give an account of what's happened in this example. We might say persons X1, X2, and so on to Xn are jointly committed to phi as a body. So 2 things going on here. They're jointly committed to phi, where phi will be a psychological state. So they might be jointly committed to believe something. They might be jointly committed to act in a certain way. These are examples of what phi can be in terms of a joint commitment. Then the other thing is this as a body part. So the individuals commit themselves to act in some way, or they're committed to phi. And as much as possible, while they are doing while they're committed in this way, they are to be acting as a single body. So much of what we say about individual commitments will carry over to commitments of this body. And so I'm just going to point to 3 key features of joint commitments that are relevant for the current talk. First, that these commitments are not a sum of personal commitments, but a single joint commitment. So it's not a summative view where we go, well, John is committed to walk with Jones and Jones is committed to walk with John, and we can add those things together, and maybe one's a little more committed than the other, and we do some addition and subtraction and end up with some sort of summative commitment view like that. That's not what we're doing. It's a single commitment performed, or it's a single commitment pursued as much as possible as a single body. And so how are they formed? Well, joint commitments are formed by each party's expression of readiness. So that's the first part. Expression of readiness to be jointly committed with the relevant group members under conditions of common knowledge. So going back to our example, John expresses his readiness for this joint commitment to walk as a single body by asking Jones. Now, we also need an expression of readiness from Jones. So that might take the place of, eye contact and a slight head nod. That's all we need. Or it might be, an explicit vocalization of this expression of readiness. Yes, John, let's go. Could be something like that. And then the second part is that this is happening under conditions of common knowledge. So John can't ask for a joint commitment from Jones or to undertake a joint commitment with Jones if Jones is asleep or not paying attention or something like this. So it needs to occur under common knowledge. Finally, the final point I'll just say is that joint commitments entail many consequences. And I won't detail all of those here, but they include the right to rebuke violation of the commitment and a requirement of joint rescission. So if, let's imagine John and Jones are walking together, they've made this commitment to walk down the path towards the coffee shop, and halfway there, John just stops in his tracks and walks in the opposite direction without saying a word. And so this will entail Jones's right to rebuke John. Something's gone wrong here. We're supposed to be acting as a single body to walk towards the coffee shop, and you're not holding up your part of this commitment. Sort of part of the body is not cooperating, so the rest of the body can rebuke the non-performance. And then if the joint commitment is to be rescinded, it requires joint rescission. So just like we're acting as a single body, all parts of that body need to be on board with rescission for the joint commitment to be dissolved without a rebuke or without violating the normative import of the commitment. Okay, I'll leave that video here.